Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. This morning, we bought ourselves a bush hog. It's a used 5-foot King Kutter bush hog, and it's located at the farm right at the end of this road. So I got to get everything back onto the tractor and drive out there and pick it up. Should be quite the adventure. We have the 3-point hitch kind of goobered up for the hay rides we were giving for Natalie's graduation party. So I got to get this all back to where it needs to be. And then hopefully this starts and we can drive it out there and pick up our new bush hog. Okay, everything's back on and ready to go. I had to replace the zerk fitting on this adapter here. It looks like this was probably sitting there like that, and somebody turned on the PTO and it just hit on there. Smashed it up pretty good though. I'm not sure if I have enough grease in there or not. I really didn't see any grease coming out, and I don't know how big it is in there, so I think I might pump a little more grease in there. These retainer bolts for the drawbar chain here, both of these are farm made and they're different lengths, and one I could get the lock washer on and the other one I couldn't. I think I'm just going to replace these. I just saw the OEM versions online and they're like $3.50 a piece, so I'll just get a couple new ones and replace those. This top link, you can see that it's bent, so I think I'm going to replace that as well. That I can get locally at any tractor supply. This lifting arm, this is OEM. This is how they were. It's got a little lock here. You unlock it and just turn the handle. You adjust this right hand one because the plow will dig in more. That's probably how this got bent like that. They probably hit a rock and it wants to shift to the right like that. The old one there, I'll just keep that. There's nothing wrong with it. And what else? Here's the zerk. This right here, that appears to be OEM, just like this one here. We'll save that. This right here, that was holding that on, this was just a piece of bar that they threaded a little bit on the end. Well, they may not have even threaded it, but they welded a nut onto it, and this was all mangled up. It was all bent up. I couldn't get it out of there, and you seen me cut it out of there. That's going to get tossed. What else? Zerk fittings. I believe all the zerk fittings on this tractor are in good shape. I'm going to go around and get it greased up right away. This drawbar right here, I just picked this up yesterday. That's what we should have been using for our hay rides, but better late than never. We'll use it next time. So I'm going to get the area cleaned up. I'm going to grease those zerks, and hopefully we can go get that bush hog tonight. There are 6 zerks in all, one on either side of this arm right here. Those were all good. And one on this steering shaft right here. And when I pumped grease into this one, you could see water coming out of the top. All that tells me is that this was really low on grease, and when it rained, water got into there and was trapped by the grease down here. On this side, the grease went into both of the top ones just fine, but it did not go into this one at all. So I have a couple options here. I could take this zerk fitting off and try to clean it out, or I could take it off and replace it, or they make a tool that goes right onto the end of it, just like a regular zerk fitting adapter, and then you hit it with a hammer. And what it does is it forces grease past any dried grease that's in there. I've seen it used on YouTube on several videos, and it appears to work really good. But I forgot where the heck I seen it and what it's called. I think I'm probably just going to try to take this one off, and hopefully it doesn't break. But I do want to get one of those tools. I'll have to find out what that's called, and if I can, I'll put it on screen. Okay, we got a nice blob of grease that came out of the top, and grease there, grease there. So all of these are working, and the tractor is greased up. So everything should be ready to go. I haven't started the tractor since Natalie's party, so I'm going to start it up, drive it down the road and back, make sure everything's working. And then as soon as we hear from the farmer at the end of the road up there, we're going to go get our new brush hog. Well, new to us anyway. I was about to take the tractor for a test ride, and I noticed that the ignition switch was a little bit loose, so I went to tighten it up, and then I noticed that this wire right here is basically unconnected, and that goes up to the amp meter. So I'm going to get that tightened up, and then we'll go take this out for a test ride. Okay, that was pretty weird. All 3 of the wires on this ignition switch were loose. This one, the one going up to the ammeter, was really loose. Maybe that has something to do with why this gauge was working real funny. But they're all tight now. Also, while we're here, I'll show you the battery hold down. This fits over the top of the battery, and it already had the holes and everything in here. We did have to cut off the handle that came with the battery. It had some brackets here, and I just took the angle grinder, cut them off. This fit right over it. It's all tightened down now. And I'm almost done with the electrical work, and I believe I'm going to take this off when I am, because it got a little bent up when the battery was bouncing around when we were taking this out for a test drive before I put the hold downs on. But I'll take it off as soon as I'm done with all this major testing and stuff. Alright, I'm going to wipe off some of this excess grease and take this out for a ride. Okay, so I just got back from the farm. We've been trying to get that thing to work on this for the last, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour or so. You can see all the oil on the fenders and what that's from. We backed this thing up, put the shaft, the PTO shaft on it, and the PTO shaft was only going like halfway on. And he said that's because on his tractor, it's a much further distance to the spline. So that's the way it's been run, and it's just been sitting on that tractor for years. So it's kind of rusty on part of the shaft, and there might be stuff packed into the tube. So we just couldn't get it on. He went and got a bucket of oil with a big brush and brushed that on, which is where this stuff came from, and just tried jamming it on and jamming it on, and the most we could get it on was like 2/3 of the way on. So what I'm going to do is go get that PTO shaft, bring it over here, and I'm going to poke around on the inside of it and see if something's packed into there. And if it is, I'll see if I can get it out. And he said that if I can get it out, if I can get it working, just go pick up the bush hog and pay him later. So either way, I'm not going to lose anything by checking it out. It's a pretty good deal, and we really need a brush hog. So I'll go get it, I'll bring it back here, and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, here's the PTO shaft. This slides over a rod that's the same shape as that. Well, the rod slides into this hole here, and theoretically it should go all the way up into here. That's what gives you the adjustment. And it is only going roughly that far, and I think he got it roughly this far one time, which means there's probably a bunch of stuff packed down in here. I'm going to try poking a rod in there, see if I can get anything out. And if I can get something out, I'll pour some carb cleaner down in there and let it sit overnight and see if I can clean the whole thing out. And if I can get it cleaned out, I'll go back and pick up our bush hog, and we will have a new implement. I shoved this clamp down in there. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Alright, it's bottoming out, and I looked at it with the flashlight, and it's hitting metal down there. There's nothing in there. And it's going in to right there. So if you match that up, it's going all the way to the end in there. So this should fit just fine. What it is the part that goes into here is just rusty and needs cleaning. So I'm going to have to go get the actual brush hog itself, get it back here, and I can take the grinder and just clean that up a bit, and it should work just fine. Like I said, he got it about halfway. It was going about up to here, and then he jammed it on to about here, and then couldn't get it back off again and had to tie this rope on it. But if that whole thing's cleaned off, it should go all the way to the end there. Okay, let's go get the brush hog, bring it over here, and clean up that shaft. Okay, I just got back from the farm, and I was checking out that shaft, and there's no crusty, rusty stuff on it. Nothing to sand off. It's fairly smooth. It has a little bit of surface rust, but other than that, the outside appears to be fine. So I lifted it up and sighted down it, and it's got a pretty good bend in it. That's why it only goes on halfway, but if you push real hard on it, it'll go a little more, but it'll get stuck. So I can either not buy this unit at all, have them reduce the price because it doesn't have a shaft and buy a shaft, or straighten that shaft out. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Alright, I am going to have to wrap this up for today. Apparently, this shaft, this shape right here, is an Italian one, and it's kind of hard to find around here. I also looked up this overrunning clutch, and it says on the sales page where this was bought that you probably need to reduce the length of your shaft to use that. So I believe either way I'm going to have to cut off about 6 inches of shaft so that I can use that overrunning clutch. And what the overrunning clutch does is it doesn't allow power from like a brush hog to be returned to the tractor because it's kind of a direct setup there. So I definitely want the overrunning clutch on there, and even if I were to get a new shaft, I would have to cut it down. So I don't know. I think I'll get this and try to fix the shaft. If I can't, I'll get a new shaft and cut that down. The one I looked at was $79, so it's not that bad. And I should probably replace this shield. It's all shattered, but we'll see. So I'm going to end this, and I believe we're going to pick that up and then work out the shaft arrangement at a different date, probably within a week or two. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below. I pretty much answer them all. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.